All right. So it's the bit on transgenderism now, and I forgot to mention what time I was at last time, but I'm at 48 minutes now. Um, the anti-authority attitude is something I love a lot, which is why I do not care for gender roles, and I do not use my speech to refer to gender roles, which is uh, controversial among both conservatives and liberals, I think, because um, I do not care about gender roles among conservatives. Um, and that's the controversial part there, and that's the part that he was acting out against. He called it male and female at first, but then Tim Ferris asked, and he's like, "Oh, I've been saying he about him." But that's the point. When I hear a testosterone voice, I say he, and that is how I use the word. And if he is wearing makeup and a dress, good, fine. And that's like I've considered transitioning, um, as in dressing as a woman, um, because I do not care for the like. I as it is, I put so little into how I present myself into the world that um, basically for the last 8 months during the pandemic, I've been wearing gym shorts. Um, like when I go outside, uh, I look uh, I look like I really don't care. Like I look like that, and I like as far as the practical benefits of being able to fit into a box and following expectations go, sometimes it's nice, but at the same time, so here's what I think. I hate it when someone says you are a boy and you can't do that, or this is a girl thing and boys can't do it, or this is a boy thing, girls can't do it. I I think it's oppressive, and again, I think it's foolish because sometimes the best, first of all, people are the happiest when they are doing what calls to them, like what they find meaningful. So, um, why would you want like uh, what purpose does it serve to to force people to fit in boxes like this? What purpose does it serve? I've never liked it when people make fun of people for clothes they're wearing or things they do that really don't matter. When I was 10, I learned how to crochet, and I loved doing it. And I think pretty much all of my older brothers, and I don't remember if my best friend did or not, but I think maybe yes, yeah, maybe not directly, but he sort of hinted that it was a girl thing, and it was interesting. I think that's what he said. I just think it's interesting, you know. Um, but I, yeah, all my older brothers they said like, okay, Mike's a girl now. I just wanted to. Uh, it just made me want to do it more. Um, Eventually, I stopped because it was what I was making was I bit off more than I could chew. This is why I stopped a lot of projects, but I barely got anywhere, any progress done, and I um, yeah, uh, I realized that what I was doing was really, I don't know, I do this a lot, so this is a common realization I have that it's not worth the time I'm putting into it, but I still have the interest in it. And when I was in physics at BYU, there was a guy who would knit every day, and it's funny, like the teacher, these are physics people, and so I'm actually pretty stereotypical for a physics person. I'm very literal, very I care about the physics of things more than more than anything else, really. And but even among physics people, the professor, he one time before class, one of the professors, because he did this in every class, he asked him, so you like knitting, huh? And he had like a smile on his face that was almost like he knew it was interesting, but that's all. Like, it was almost like he was impressed. He was impressed that this person had the uh, self-confidence to uh, to openly knit in a physics class. And so his smile was like it was both, what you're doing is weird, but I think it's cool. And honestly, most people didn't even care. And then the professor, he's like, so what is it you like about it? Is it the patterns? And this guy was like, yeah, I like the patterns. Um, that's what I liked about crocheting. Um, anyway, so I think that, I mean, I get mad at people when they bring these preconceived notions of what, uh, like these stupid roles, like these expectations they have for people. I hate it, and that's sort of what I don't like about transgenderism either, because he says it's to go against authority, but it was more. He just went with a different authority, um, and like in many ways, the focus on gender is is a, is oppositional to trying to make society more fair. In other words, all you're doing by going into the other box is reaffirming that yes, there are boxes. And I do not care for that. I care about physiology. I care about um like who can mate with whom. Like, that matters. Like, are you gonna wear a dress? I could not care less. Um and so my language, I want it to reflect what I care about. And so if people are gonna like persecute me for using the wrong gender pronouns, I will simply not use pronouns at all, because these societal roles, I do not respect them, I do not recognize them, and I will not use words for them. And I watched a couple of videos, actually a video this week of a person who came out as transgender. Um, it was a little confusing because apparently they were taking hormones. So what I heard was a testosterone voice, a male voice, and it turned out she was originally a biological female, but she sounded like a teenage boy. And then, and she one of the things she said was, um, if you think about it, the way we use pronouns are to reflect societal roles that people play. And like, I just, stop with that. Stop with that. A boy can play with Barbies and he's still a boy, because guess what? He still has a penis. So, and I know there's like intersex, and honestly, those people should just be themselves. Why do they have to modify their bodies to fit into one role or the other? I think it's actually awesome that there are intersex people, and I mean, I think it's great. Um, and I hate the people who give them crap. I hate them. Like, I know it's wrong to hate, but I just get so tired of closed-minded people and the hysteria. Like, what's going on is not authentic with the transgender movement. It is not authentic at all. First of all, you have an entire group of people who are bending over backwards to fit in some kind of gender stereotype. So that's unhealthy. And then the second layer of unhealthy thing is like the social pressure of canceling people if they say anything that might indicate they have a different opinion on this matter. It's so sensitive. It's so sensitive. I'm still going to post this because I do not care. I just found out that I basically am ready to like, I don't need my job. I don't need any job anymore. I could have a meager existence, but still be free from any responsibility to working because of how much work I've put into investing. Like I do not want to work. I have not thoroughly enjoyed many of my jobs. But the goal was to give myself the freedom to start whatever business I wanted. So I'm basically there now. Whatever I get from now on is a bonus that will allow me to have a car, things like that. But I don't need that. I can live. And so I'm pretty happy right now. And so I think everybody should have an escape plan so they can actually be honest and not repress and develop pathological psychological issues and um, and lose respect for themselves because they're not saying what they think. So this person I watched on YouTube, she ended up posting a video 2 years later where she detransitioned, and she said all the things that I believed already. Basically, I didn't know that she came out with that video already, but she detransitioned, and so she's a female. She's still stuck with the testosterone voice, which she wants to remain positive about it. She doesn't think that. And she got surgery to remove her breasts, and so it's very sad that, like, just look at that as itself. It's flipped on its head. You're saying that for me to accept you who you are, as you are, for me to acknowledge that you exist, whatever that means, I have to encourage you to cut your body in ways that society expects you to. Like, there's something so sad about it. And then when she transitioned, it just, I feel okay. So this is the missing part of what I've been saying so far. I think although I jumped around a lot, I basically said what I think. I um I I don't cry hardly ever, but watching her talk about why she transitioned and why she's detransitioning, um, it made me cry a little bit. Um, like I could probably point back to the last year and say maybe I've cried maybe 5 times, maybe, which is more than typical actually. And I wonder if the pandemic has something to do with it, just with stress being high or something. But or maybe my testosterone levels are decreasing since I'm 30 years old now. Who knows? But um, I don't care. Again, I do not care. What, like, I'm saying testosterone. I'm not. Yeah. Um, I think. Gosh, it's such a stupid point. I don't want to make it, but yeah, men should cry. Women should do whatever they want to. People should do what they want. But anyway, um, what she said was basically what I said, that she saw that society had given her a role, and her reaction to it was to go the opposite, but she was still caring too much about what people thought about her. And yes, that I can't speak for all transgender people, like, for them or about them. I don't know what the case is for all of them. I can't just say that I do. But for her, it was what I thought it would be for most transgender people. Um, it's what it is. Like, How are you not enforcing stereotypes by bending over backwards to satisfy a stereotype? I think the dominant emotion in leftist areas like California, Washington, Oregon, is sympathy, but also the appearance of sympathy. So obviously everyone is terrified of being labeled as hateful, but there's also genuine compassion. And if people want to be seen as compassionate, or sorry, if they want to be seen as a certain gender role, it seems kind of compassionate to do that, to respect that. And I can sound hostile about this, but I feel really bad for them. Please, like, I wish I could, like, please do what you want. Don't there's so many thoughts going through my head right now, but basically, I think my initial approach is defensive. I want to say, no, do not, please, don't fire me because I used the wrong freaking word. Please don't. And I get angry. Like, why should that happen? Why should that happen? But ultimately, people, they need compassion, and hostility actually makes things even worse. Increases insecurity, which is driving the phenomenon to begin with, most of it. So it's the same thing with scientific literacy. You can be aggressive and tell people they're dumb, but it's going to be counterproductive. And the thing is, I'm counterproductive. I give my initial reaction too often, and I have a hard time seeing my way around it because I'm young and I need practice. And it's my personality to be disagreeable and give my opinion. But for myself, I want to use the words that I think reflect reality. And I hate stereotypes and the gender roles. And like, I'm a member of, the church and I there are defined gender roles, but I do not care about them. It's been like, it's just part of life, how things are, that you kind of accept these things, and the differences aren't even that big of a deal anyway. Like, men pass the sacrament, bless the sacrament, like, whatever. Like, big deal. Like, are you gonna cry because you couldn't utter the words? And like, you could see it as favoritism, but it's also servitude. Like passing the sacrament around. I actually didn't like doing it. It was a chore. I would rather just sit. But later on, earlier, it was an interesting way to break a long hour. But anyway, so I don't see them as important, but which is why I don't really care. But if somebody said, "Hey, I want to speak. Can you please ask me to speak sometime about this thing?" And they say, "Oh no, you're a woman. You can't." I will say, "You small-minded moron. She has a brain. We should listen to the thoughts that come from her unique experience. Like, gosh, it's so stupid to do that, and that has happened. That's why I'm angry. Like, it's not just a theoretical example. Like, and as far as like giving blessings, I don't really understand the point of giving blessings. That's another priesthood privilege that men get at giving blessings. I don't really understand it. The whole point is people are healed by faith. So, like, I really don't get it. I think it's more for the person to feel a sense of importance. In other words, take what they're doing seriously because now they're representing God. And honestly, I would be. You see, I just don't care. Like, yeah, have women do it. I do not care. Like, there's nothing there. So if we're talking about the church, the fundamental principle is exaltation and growth. What better way of doing that than to provide more service opportunities? And besides, it's not like so to begin with, it's not like the church is the only way you can serve humanity. It's like, I don't know. There's so many angles to this, but so many misconceptions layered on top of each other, I think. And I think the church actually probably will extend the priesthood to women. And so here, it's funny. I don't care that the women don't have priesthood because there are plenty of service opportunities. If I were women, I wouldn't care. I also wouldn't care if they did get it, and I honestly think that would be preferable because why not? It and I don't like the gender roles, like I was saying, and so I don't ultimately I just don't think about it much. So this is the first time I've thought or really said anything about it in years probably, but anyway, so I think they're two sides of the same stupid coin. Yeah, I call transgenderism stupid. It's just as stupid as saying girls can't pass a sacrament and girls can't play sports. I think some people have said that in the past, I'm sure, or girls can't do whatever. I do believe that there should be a division between levels of testosterone and sports. Just a practical division. If you're playing like a game like football, I don't think there should be in basketball. Why? Like, it's not like, yeah, I really don't. There shouldn't be a division between, like, the NBA and WNBA should merge right now. Why not? Why should there be a special girls league? I don't care. But with football, I think there should be girls football. Like, let's say, like, we can even make it less controversial. It'd be humiliating, but if you get injured in actually do it by weight. Why not do it by weight? That'd actually probably be the best, because that's actually what matters. It's the physics of the game. Just do it like wrestling. Have like different classes. Anyway, who cares? But I do think it's two sides of the same stupid coin. You've got one side that says only girls can do this. It has nothing to do with their anatomy. And then on the other side, you have only boys can do this, which again has nothing to do with their anatomy. And and then the the wrong reaction to that. So that's wrong. And then the wrong reaction to that is transgenderism. It's saying, I accept those roles and I switch roles. Like, that's funny. That's funny. It's actually funny. Um, um, it's uh, it's also inefficient because you still got a hard line between the things. So let's say by nature I'm good at crocheting, software engineering, and basketball, okay? Those three things. So, if I accept actually, let me choose a set of things that are more stereotypically masculine or feminine. Let's say fixing cars, okay? Yeah, okay, I'm good at being a mechanic, which it is like 95% men, just so you know. Um, being a mechanic, I'm good at, sure, being a plumber and good at crocheting. So let's say I do those three things, and though like I do them nonstop. I love them, all three of them. Um, and society tells me, no, if you have a penis, you can only do the mechanic thing and the plumbing thing. Okay, better not crochet. We don't like that. And my initial reaction is to tell them to shove it. But I feel like a transgender person would say, and if this person who's talking in this one would say, I reject your authority and I will do the exact thing that you like, but the opposite. I like a quote from Peter Thiel that the ultimate contrarian is not to oppose the crowd, but to think for yourself. Just if you're opposing the crowd on literally everything, what you're doing is defined by the crowd still. It's just the opposite thing. You're not thinking for yourself still. So um, I would say, so a transgender person would say, okay, I am then a woman, and so I can crochet. And then they get stuck, like, it seems like they voluntarily will then wear skirts, put on makeup, and all these things. And it's like you're just sort of you're kind of like all you're doing is enforcing those stereotypes that in order to be a woman you have to wear makeup, in order to be a woman you have to wear a dress. You're doing it in a soft way, and honestly, it's you're not nefarious about it or anything. You're just trying to be accepted for who you think you really are, but it's it's not really gonna help. Like this YouTuber I watched, she was still defining herself, letting the crowd define her. So, yeah, that is my opinion on all of that, and I'm sure it goes way more into it. I will try to keep listening, and I hope that the rest isn't about it. I hope she talks about something different. But the last layer I would put on, and I just realized I called her she. Um, my memory is influenced by. So here's what I notice when I'm listening to a transgender woman, I will call her he because the testosterone in the voice is just, you can't not hear it. It is actually comical. Um, and like, it is very not politically correct to say that, but it is. It is literally comical. It has been used so many times in movies, and it's still used occasionally, and it's not, I don't think it's hateful either. It's just literally comical to, yeah, anyway. Um, but when I'm hearing them, it sounds like a man, and so I tend to say he. But because I think visually, when I'm thinking about them afterwards, I'll actually probably say she, because I don't know. I feel like I've been like, I try to uh I earlier I said that I base my words on the physiology, but that is what I would like to do. But involuntarily, I will instinctively is a better word. I will say I will say the pronoun that looks like the clothes they're wearing. Um, and I misgender random people anyway as well, so I don't think it's that serious of a thing. And that's the fundamental thing. I think that people shouldn't care what people call them. I would actually think it would be funny if people started calling me she and her. But anyway, so yeah, the Sophie something, the person who was running the React team, I was watching her talk, and she looked like a woman, and so I said she naturally, but the voice is so manly. It's like feminine man is what it sounds like. So if I were listening, I'd call him a he. If I were watching, I'd call her a she. So the pronouns, that's the annoying part that goes on top of all this. So I hate the stereotypes, I hate the roles, and I think that transgenderism is, I feel bad for them, and they're going about it the wrong way. And if a person asked me, or if it was obvious what pronouns a person wanted to be called by, I would, of course, use those pronouns because I know why. Like, people are struggling, especially transgender people. Their suicide rate is unacceptable. It is extremely high. And I want people to know that I am on their side. I have nothing against them, unless they're like actually like trying to force me to do things. But I want to, and actually Jordan Peterson, he had a similar thing. He had a ton of people say, you know what, these people who want to force everyone to use the words, they're not representative of all transgender people. Plus, Jordan Peterson, he uses people's pronouns in person because he's polite. But I want to be nice to the people. I want them to know that I'm really on their side. I don't want anything from them. I really don't. I don't want them to be different. Like I said, I'm happy if they want to wear makeup. I don't like, a lot of guys wear makeup anyway. And like the lead singer of Green Day, like he wears makeup. My parents thought he was an idiot, but I don't care. He's wearing makeup. So what? But individuals who, yeah, they need people on their side. But at the same time, I want to make it a point that I am treating them as an individual, a free individual, and I'm not going to box them in because they're a man or a woman. Yeah. Ultimately, I don't understand all these things, but the point is, of that we can all hopefully agree on when we go back to it, is that people should be allowed to talk about these things, because if you can't speak, the culture can't think, and if the culture can't think, the culture can't solve things, and if it can't solve things, the culture will undergo conflict, and that is not what I want. So obviously free speech is the most important thing. And we'll kind of figure this out. I do think it's contradictory to the history of feminism and all the things with tearing down stereotypes. I think it's contradictory. But anyway, I'm basically done with this point. And unless the podcast, there's something else that's said that's really specific that I need to comment on, this might be the end of this. But I'm hoping they jump around to a bunch of other topics, because up to this, it was very interesting. And this is a big issue in our culture right now. Otherwise, it would be so boring. So, anyway, so back to the podcast. Yeah. Okay, back to the podcast.